year of Dexter continues. Dexter is back again, both because it's the second season of Dexter this year and it's the second revival of the series starring this guy right here. So let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Sean, and I'd love to talk about movies and TV way too much. With that in mind, go ahead and join me down below in the comments section. Let me know, what did you think about the first 2 episodes of Dexter Resurrection? Give me that point of reference. How did you feel about the original run, how it ended, as well as what were your feelings on New Blood, and even, I guess, Original Sin? There's a lot of angles you can come into this show from, with a lot of conflicting feelings because of the nature of the original run as well as the several revivals. Love to hear all of your thoughts on all of that. And today's video is brought to you by Audible. If you're like me and you like to read with your ears, not your eyes, consider signing up for a free trial of Audible at audibletrial.com/Sean Chandler. You get a free 30-day trial plus a free audiobook of your choice. They've got a whole bunch of the Dexter books. And if you're a Dexter fan, at some point in time, you have to read or listen to the first book, which is the basis for season 1. So it's just interesting to see that point of reference, that comparison in there. But then also, the books are after that are completely different from the series. So it's like this whole other world of Dexter that you can explore. And you can get one for free for signing up for a free trial of Audible at audibletrial.com/Sean Chandler. I am a massive Audible fan, and I have been now for 9 years and like 8 months. It'll be 10 years in August of this year when I've been a member with them. And I listen to audiobooks constantly. Highly recommend them. You can get that free book and that free 30-day trial at that link down below. Now let's get started. So as for me, I'm someone that feels like Dexter at its best is some of my favorite television of all time, but it's also one of those shows that I feel like went off the rails multiple different times, and I'm in the category that feels like it ended really bad 2 different times in a very unsatisfying manner. In which case, when they said that they were doing 2 different seasons this year, one is a prequel and one is a continuation, it's like, okay, like, I'm always hopeful that maybe we can recapture the magic. I'm always hopeful that maybe they'll figure out the right direction to continue, but also like, am I just a sucker? Do you keep tricking me? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Is that what we're doing right now? Earlier this year, we got Original Sin. And basically, I felt like it recaptured the vibe of the original classic run of Dexter. It played like big budget fan fiction, but good big budget fan fiction. So, like, that's a positive. Like, it always felt a little bit like, hey, people are pretending to be my favorite characters, but also it did get the vibe right. It was a good Dexter experience. But now we've got the man returning, as well as the real Batista returning. And, he had his little, basically a cameo at the end of New Blood. But here he's truly returning, and we're getting what we wanted from a return of Batista. How would he respond to where the show ended and what that would certainly imply what he would believe coming out of that. That leads us to this season where I went in, like I said, nervous because of things ending poorly before, but also kind of, rewatching the show and thinking through New Blood. Part of even, I think, the struggle of New Blood is that Miami itself and the ensemble were so pivotal to the making Dexter work that the Dexter character is fantastic, like just a great idea for a character, played wonderfully. But the thing that pulls the show together is that supporting cast, the world that he's in, and Miami just gives it a specific vibe. So you take the cast away, the supporting cast away, you take the city away, and you put him in a city that's not as lively and not just inherently bland, which is the whole concept, is that he's trying to go to some place quiet. And without all that, the dynamics around him, it just lacked a certain energy. So, did they correct that mistake, or are they repeating that mistake? And 2 episodes into the season, and I am cautiously very optimistic. I enjoyed what I got. Like, There's a little bit of suspension of disbelief of we've got to like really manipulate a few things for Dexter to be alive, unguarded, and not being investigated by the local police. Like, we had to bend some rules to get things to be able to kick into motion. But if I could accept that, did I like what they gave me and the tease 2 episodes in of like what this plot is and what the vibe will be? Yes, I did. And I think maybe somewhat what really helped with that is that New York City is absolutely nothing like Miami, except both of them are very lively cities with their own personality and vibe to them. And so immediately the show has more personality, scene by scene, moment by moment, than New Blood did, simply because the setting of the last show, or I guess the last show was New Blood, or Original Sin, New Blood, one previous revival, was just inherently in a place that was very bland, intentionally so. And you put the characters in the middle of the Big Apple, and there's just a life to everything, the same way that Miami brings a life to everything. But kind of beyond that, it found, I think, there's no way to go back to the template of the original show, because obviously Dexter's life is turned upside down, so he can't be pretending to be a police officer. So what can we do with Dexter that's interesting? And there were things in New Blood that kind of tapped into something interesting. But the setup here, I think, has a little bit more of an obvious forward momentum that's exciting, which is Dexter is trying to be a good father to his son that he has as complicated of a relationship as you can have. His son gets wrapped up in something, and Dexter's using his skills to try and help his son, while Dexter's being pursued by Batista, who has a very personal vendetta, and we're in a city where there's also other serial killers. And it just feels like we're in the middle of a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of potential conflict dynamics, conflict and, obstacles for everyone to try and get over that are interesting and have an emotional, personal hook to them. And continue the idea of Dexter's pursuit of humanity. He's got the dark passenger. He has a darkness inside of him, but he's always been stepping towards the facade, not being a facade, but him really being a person, as opposed to a person pretending to be a good person. He's a good person with a really dark side that they can come out from time to time. I mean, and you see that here, in particular, even things that happen in the end of the last 2 episodes of this premiere. It touches exactly on this change in Dexter, where he's at now, coming out of where New Blood ended, in the way Harrison responded to him that led to Harrison's choices that keep pushing Dexter in a specific direction. Now, could this go so far that we lose that the fun of Dexter is that you are rooting for a serial killer? And if you just turn him into a superhero that he's like a more fun version of the Punisher or whatever, you don't want to do that. So how do you make sure that he's never loses his actual edge, but also continues to grow and change? Maybe they have the right angle here. So we finally get the Batista Dexter reunion, and it's it's not meant to be a fireworks conversation. It's meant to be one filled with a lot of subtext, and there's a lot going underneath the surface of everything that everyone says is hiding their true hand, reading the other person, the facade that we're still best friends, while both of them knowing we're not on the same side anymore. And there's just a lot of fun to that. I didn't particularly care for Harrison in New Blood. Just the characterization and everything just was more frustrating than enjoyable. the 2 episodes we have here, the way he's used, it's much easier to kind of root for him or be a little bit more on his side when he's used as someone that has a sense of justice to him and doesn't come off. I don't know, whiny might not be the right word. I'm rewatching all of Dexter. I haven't rewatched New Blood yet, so I'm not sure how it will play on second viewing. I'll do that, I don't know, probably in a week or so. That'll be able to catch up to it. But felt he was just used better. He's positioned better to be a character that you can get behind. One of the fun touches, this strains some credibility that the equivalent of an Uber driver exchanges information, invites someone over to their house in the context of talking about how there's a serial killer on the loose preying on people. And even the way they describe the person, like, he would be just like you, except in a hoodie. Like, doesn't seem like someone you would invite over to hang out with and more. Seems a little bit of credibility, but like a fun character. You can see the supporting cast like being created as you watch the first couple episodes and how it'll work out. Not super crazy about the investigation lady. Just it feels like she's the detective that's not good with people, but she's great at her work. Like, it doesn't feel like there's a character there. It's more of just a stereotype. She felt a little bit too much like a stock character rather than a fleshed out human, at least thus far. We've only gotten, the 1 episode with her, really, so we'll see what happens. But generally speaking, the idea of Dexter using his skills to work behind what's going on with Harrison, I like it. I'm a little bit nervous where they're going with the serial killer stuff in New York City. In particular, the trailer teased it as something much too organized to the point of becoming like cartoonish in the world of Dexter. That, obviously it's always been a heightened reality of sorts where there's an unusually large number of serial killers and murderers in an individual city. But when you start having like a club of serial killers, which seemed to be somewhat implied by the trailer, I was like, not so crazy about that. So I'm nervous about that. What was in these episodes, I was like, that's cool. I like that. The tease of where it could be heading, I'm very nervous about that. And obviously we got a bunch of cameos from some faces at the beginning of this. In the context, I think it played better than my fears. I don't know if they're going to do any more, if that's the whole deal. I don't know why you would announce any of those cameos in advance, if that's all it is. If that's all we're getting from them, that's weird to announce in advance. So I don't know why they did that if it's done, because the context of it is he's in a coma and having visions in his coma makes sense. Like, I can buy into that. But if that's it, why would you not just leave that as a surprise? Why would you tell everyone in advance? But a nice little fun little bit to remind people. And then having just Harry back as the voice in his head, coaching him a little bit in classic Dexter form. Another one that, just things to pull us back, more connective tissue to the original version and vibe of it, while being in such a different context with a different structure that, of course, it has its own flavor. But the more connective tissue, the more that we have that dark sense of humor. But in New York City, he's not a cop, or he's not a blood spatter, and like, that's the freshness. But lots of connective tissue to keep it like what we love, I think, is key. So we'll see how it ends up. They haven't had the best track record of ending Dexter stuff recently, since season 8. So we'll see. I am cautiously optimistic. I liked what I got. There's several things that have me nervous, but there's also like at the end of the day, did I enjoy what I got? Yes, I did. Let me know what you thought down below. I am doing a review series of all the seasons of Dexter. I've done the first 3 seasons, plus previously I already covered some other stuff, so you can find links around here, pinned comment, all that fun stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Keep talking movies and TV to